you can clip it on, or
if this goes up, we won't see the sunlight till 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
what's that?
Yeah.
Oh,
We
I
won't
see.
see the sun till 2 o'clock, if then.
Yeah.
All right. We are live on Lover's Lane this morning, everybody. Our walk around is a little different. I'm on the other side of the camera, and if you can hear us loud and clear, just type in the chat box that you can hear us, and we'll explain what we're doing here. The walk around this morning is on Lover's Lane. It's sponsored by Michael Stewart, and we appreciate Mr. Structural Engineer Michael Stewart for sponsoring the walk around. I posted on Facebook yesterday looking for places to walk around, and AJ said, why don't you come down to Lover's Lane? And here we are in Lover's Lane, and AJ, you got your whole family out here, and we're going to take a little walk up the street, and we're actually right adjacent to Gulfview Colony, which is no longer there, and also to the Red Coconut property. So, AJ, why did you think it would be a good idea to come down and talk about the history of Lover's Lane and also what's going up behind you or might go up behind you?
Well, I think the things going on the island right now, the changes happening are happening very rapidly, and what's being talked about mainly online are a lot of personal opinions. But the fact is, the town has a plan. The town has development guidelines, and a lot of these developments are not being held to those guidelines. Or at least it doesn't seem on the surface to us, that they are. So we haven't seen anything that says warrants these changes or these variances to the guidelines or to the stipulations in the development plan. Those plans were put in place for a reason, and they should be held to. If they're not going to be held to those guidelines, then there should be a study done or something to prove that there's a reason that they're going to issue those variances, not just because of personal opinion and not because the developer wants it. That's the hard thing to swallow, because once these developers are done, they're out. Yeah. And then the town's got to live with whatever they built.
So before we talk more about that, everything look all right, Warren? All right. This is Lover's Lane. I don't know if you could just shoot over there. On the other side of Lover's Lane is the Seagate Plaza. Island Panckae House is over there, and also what you're looking at right there is going to be a furniture store. Himmelstein's are building a furniture store there, so we're right on the other side of Lover's Lane. And why don't you give us I know you got other folks that live here, and there's a great history of this street here, and you guys took a beating during Hurricane Ian. Right, it's not very far from the Gulf of America, and there used to be 2 houses on the other side of the street there that are no longer there. So how did your house do?
So this is my in-laws' place, and it is one of the original pink shell cottages. So several homes on this street were moved from the pink shell site to build the pink shell. My wife and I were actually married on the beach in front of the pink shell. That's where we had our wedding. But
just decided to pick up the house.
Yeah,
and move it
so we're like
here
moving down here. We love the place so much. But the storm or Ian did a lot of damage. This house was saved, and I won't bore you with those facts, but my my wife's family's been coming down here since the 60s. They owned a beach house right across the street. They bought this place, and they also had a place in the Estero Sands. But over the years, there's been a lot of change, and a lot of positive change and growth. But what we're seeing now, obviously, is the infrastructure can't handle it. And that's the part that scares us the most. Like I said earlier, it took an hour and a half for us to get, up to the bridge, go to dinner last night, and that's ridiculous. People aren't going to want to come.
You're only a mile away.
From
the bridge,
0.9 miles, an hour and a half.
So tell us what happened to this house in Ian. You were explaining it to us.
So
the
house was designed with blowout walls down below. The storm hit, and the Chamber of Commerce building, I think, protected a lot back here just because of the direction of the storm. But the blowout walls did what they were supposed to do. They knocked out, and everything else washed out. But structurally, the house was able to maintain. No water got into the house. I think it was like 15 feet of storm surge, and the bottom of the house is right at 15 feet. So no water in the house, but a lot of damage, a lot of surface damage. But structurally, it survives.
And this house here.
Survived as well.
It looks like. Did it used to have walls?
No, it had just the lattice
gotcha.
Covering, and that all blew out, and I just haven't put it back. So
you were saying maybe we could start walking up the street here. You were saying that the water came up to just the top of the garage here, so there was a 15-foot storm surge.
Yeah,
and
my brother-in-law actually had early access to aerial imagery.
Oh, no kidding.
After the storm. He works for a company that does post-disaster aerial imagery, and he sent us a couple of pictures, and we were looking at it, and I actually texted my father-in-law and said, hey, the doormat is still there. So water didn't get up to the porch, so we knew that water didn't get that high. I'm amazed that it didn't blow away, but that was a good sign. And when we were finally able to get down here, they were able to confirm that no water got in the house. But yeah, where we're standing was about 10 feet of water.
So you're 5 feet up above
the
sea
driveway's
level
5
here.
feet. Yeah.
And then another 10 feet. So
Yep.
perfectly laid out house. Right
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
So across the street there, where those piles of sands are, you guys were saying that.
So there used to be a couple of cottages there, and then on the other side, on the beach side, that was the original house that my in-laws bought in the 60s. It was an old beach house that had been added to over the years, and it was 2 doors down from Estero Sands. So there were, I think 3 or 4 houses right there between. So there were 3 beach side, and then I think 2 or 3 cottages on the back side that were rented out through the years.
So there were 5 houses over there?
Yeah.
On the other side of Estero?
Correct. Wow. Yeah.
And did they all wind up at the end of this road somewhere? Or it could be
Parts and
anywhere?
pieces, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And so, what was I going to ask you? This new house here that's going up, there was one of the pink shell cottages was there beforehand?
So there was something there because there were some CMU pillars there with nothing on them for years, and then Ian finally took those out, and then this has gone up since. So
well, you can see the difference in the kinds of houses that are being built.
Well, absolutely, and I mean you're not going to stop this kind of progress, and obviously people are going to have to build the standards no matter what. To survive these types of storms.
Yeah. So this goes from what was a cottage here to, I mean, it looks like,
yeah.
It looks like a mini mall.
Yeah.
That's going in there. How many? Any
it's,
idea how many bedrooms that? It's a
I mean,
three-story.
if I was guessing, I'd say 6 to 8.
Wow, that is a.
It's
big
probably
house.
only 4 though, right?
Wow. All right, and we have the. Access title building here where the chamber is now located on the 3rd floor. This building obviously survived. Big, giant brick building.
Like I say, I think because of the direction Ian was coming, I think this actually shielded a lot of the brunt of the storm from Lover's Lane.
Yeah, and you can see right here is where you're saying there were 5 houses.
Yeah, right where that trailer's parked, there were 2 or 3 houses there in like a L-shaped. There was one here, and then there was a vacant lot.
Okay.
And then I can't remember the name of the street on the other side. There's actually a public right-of-way street on the other side, and then you have the beach homes on the other side of that. So.
Now, this is a condo building, and I know our friends from the Fox River Brewery have a couple units in this one.
Yeah.
And they're still not open.
No. And we actually, when we started coming down here, my first trip down here, my in-laws had one of the units in there, and that's the first place I stayed was Estero Sands. So
is that what it is, Estero Sands?
Yes, that's what it was. I don't know if somebody's bought it and changed the name or what. But
all right, so right on the other side of Lover's Lane is what used to be Gulfview Colony.
Correct.
And that is still owned, I believe, by the owners of the property. I don't think it's been sold yet. I know at one point Seagate had a contract on it, but that kind of fell through, and they were still working on the red coconut plans. And there's a beach access across the street that the Gulfview Colony ownership owns. Is this the beach? Oh, it must be.
So there was one, there was one there that went down the side of Red Coconut, and then there's one that goes on the other side of this house that you see with the orange ventilation coming out of it. And those are the only 2 public. Well, I think that's the only public. I think this was exclusive to the old development here. He's
in the bike lane or in the road there. So all right. So Protect FMB is fighting the town, approving the Red Coconut project. We have Greg Skasny on the show today at 11 o'clock at Margaritaville. Are you part of that whole group there? Are you trying to?
I don't think my in-laws have joined up on that group yet, but I certainly support what they're doing, and I think they do as well. I don't think anybody harbors any ill will. We just want to make sure the plan's followed, and if the plan's not going to be followed, we understand why, and it's a positive impact for the town. Not going to create more burden on the existing infrastructure or the proper improvements are going to be made to help support that development. You know, that's why you have these plans in place.
Mm-hmm. So the Red Coconut property is right here, and that's where the proposal is for the two 17-story buildings and I think a total of 5 buildings altogether. And
Right.
you wanted to really show how you think it'll impact your neighborhood and your street there.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how two 17-foot or story buildings here are going to block everything from not just Lover's Lane, everything to the north of here. You know, 4 stories, you know, that's doable. That's, you know, we live with that. But, you know, 17, I think you need to have a density study done. I want to see how many people is that going to bring to this area, because we can't support what's here now. And it's always been, you know, we're in season right now, so this is the worst
Sure.
it's going to be, but it's always been bad. So, and I don't see the improvements being made to help support those.
You mean like the infrastructure and...
Correct. The infrastructure, roadway infrastructure, utility infrastructure, all that stuff I think needs to be studied, and the right improvements need to be made, and that should be shouldered by the developer, in my opinion. You know, but people shouldn't have to pay any extra taxes.
Do you have a preference that you would like to see built here, a condo or a hotel? Does it matter to you? With the hotel probably bringing more traffic than a condo would.
Yeah, I think a condo development would be obviously preferred. You know, obviously this is a transient vacation community. This is, you know, Fort Myers Beach relies on those dollars for, you know, their livelihoods. But I think I would prefer a condo over a hotel. One
of the things that Vice Mayor said on our show was that he kind of felt like that there was no alternative plan put forward by anybody, that it was just everybody kept saying stick to the comp plan, and there is a way to get through the back door of the comp plan by doing a CPD or this new development agreement, and that's what they did.
Right.
Is that a fair argument to make, that nobody was coming up with any other recommendations, or do you think it's not up to somebody else to come up with a recommendation?
I mean, you know as well as I do, whoever comes with the money is going to get what they want. I can have an opinion about it. I don't have millions of dollars to develop the property,
right?
But I would think that the town would hold whoever does have that money and wants that drive, that initiative to build that, is going to be held to the plan, or at least required to prove why their variances they're asked for should be approved, and prove that with facts, not opinion, right? You couldn't say, I think this will happen, or we've seen this happen in other places. Well, other places aren't here. Show me how that's going to affect here, Fort Myers Beach, not somewhere else.
Why do you think? Are you saying you don't think there were enough facts put forward in this whole thing from the beginning?
I'm saying I've seen enough opinions. I have not read. I'll admit I've not read any reports or anything that was put forward other than seeing the development plans that were put online. And that was it. So,
what did the rest of the neighbors say on Lover's Lane? Are they all 100% in the same boat, or?
You know, I haven't talked to them, so I don't know. I have to assume that that they would be if they knew what was happening. We did talk to the new neighbors that built to the east of us. But that's the only ones I've talked to.
Yeah. What do you want to say to the town council members? I mean, we have the mayor on tomorrow. We have Karen Woodson, who mayor voted no. Karen Woodson voted yes on next Sunday. What do you want to say to them?
You know, I think as a elected representative for the folks, you got to take the needs of Fort Myers Beach into consideration first, and how it's going to benefit the community as a whole. To me, that's what the job of public representative is. Just because it's going to bring more people here doesn't mean that's a good thing. You know, you've got to make the improvements to support it first.
Is it your opinion that Fort Myers Beach is a residential area first or a tourist destination first?
Well, it has to be both, right? You've got to have people to support the tourism. You can't expect them to all drive in from, mainland, and there's a lot of people that do that. But I think you've got to have a tight-knit community to support that.
Anything that you'd like to say to Matt at Seagate?
Take the needs of the community into consideration when you're making these decisions. And I don't see that being done.
One of his arguments was that if he didn't build higher and move it back on this property here, he could build them and just completely blanket the property, including the property over here, which he's kind of agreed to not build as much on that side of the beach, which is considered, he said it was public benefit. So would you just rather see 4-story buildings built all on every inch of the property?
Well, again, that's where you have to do some level of study on the density and how many people that's going to bring to the area. Again, we don't have this infrastructure to support that right now. We don't have the, we can support what we have. So putting that many or saying that, hey, I could just do this and get away with it, that's not an answer. That's kind of I don't think that's a good idea either, and I think everybody knows that.
Who's our buddy here? You introduced me to him before.
Oh, this is my father-in-law, Brad.
Brad. Let's see if Brad, you have some history of Fort Myers Beach. Tell us about the history you have.
We vacation down here since the 60s.
Since the 60s. So you've seen it since the swing bridge days.
Oh yeah. When it would break down every time we would go by it.
So you've seen a lot of change and a lot of progress. Oh, yeah. Are you okay with what's going to happen here?
Am I okay of it? Do I have control of it? No, I don't have control of it. But as far as the liking of it, I think it's going to take away from the vibe of the Fort Myers Beach.
But didn't Ian take away the vibe of the beach?
It will survive. New generation will survive it. We're passing it on down to our grandkids. Is what we are right now.
What would you prefer to see built here? I mean,
I would
what
like
is your
to
opinion?
see something in a lower profile to accent what we're doing with the houses here.
Yeah.
And the fact is that a lot of the other construction company, other business owners are building under what they need to.
Have you gotten involved at all?
No, I have not.
I have not. Do you plan to, or are you?
At this point, no. I'm going to sit back and watch like I always have. So that's what we're doing right now. We're still trying to enjoy the beach and enjoy the family atmosphere we've always had down here. Tell us about some of the memories that you have of the beach, like the different decades that you've seen from the 60s, and what brought you here? Well, my grandfather did.
No kidding.
And it was a fishing village. Back when there was 150 shrimp boats here.
Now there's one.
Yeah, that's true. But, back then, you talk about the traffic. It was bad then.
Yeah.
The bridge would break down, or it was always bad. So, and it hasn't changed that much, other than the fact is, I believe there is more people, more cars coming on the island, plus construction companies.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, and having the exit to the bridge closed at the time.
Both ends.
When there's more construction trucks than ever before, and it's season, doesn't help at all too. Now you got a whole family here. What brings everybody down?
Oh, we're doing a complete family vacation.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, a whole bunch of us.
And do you have anything that you want to share about what's going on the beach with the elected officials? Any advice you have for them?
I know they've got a hard job.
Yeah.
The elected officials got a hard job. They're trying to follow as much as they can to keep everybody happy, and that's not going to happen. So I believe that they're doing a good job with what they've got. I don't agree with some of the things that are being passed, but that's going to be life. We're not going to agree with everything.
Cool. All right. Anybody else want to say anything here in the family? AJ? Anybody? All right.
This is only part of it.
Part of the family?
We got more coming in.
How many you got?
18 total.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. And you're all staying here on Lover's Lane, or?
Nah, well, we are staying. We got other places rented though. So.
All right. Thank you guys. Thanks for the tour, Lover's Lane. Appreciate it. And we'll be at Margaritaville at 11 o'clock with Captain Chris Whitman from Captains for Clean Water, and also Greg from Protect FMB to talk more about what's going on here. Thanks to Michael Stewart for sponsoring the walk around, and we will see you at Margaritaville at 11 o'clock. Thank you, guys.